Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to hear all about our most popular fall foliage rail vacations here with Amtrak Vacations. I want to go ahead and introduce myself as your webinar host. I am Jackie Malecki, and I am excited because at the end of this presentation, I'll be giving away a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift certificate to one lucky attendee. And all you have to do to win is just be present on the end of this webinar. And stay tuned, because at the end, I'll also be announcing our exclusive discounts just for all of you for taking the time and attending today. Now, to book any of these rail vacations you hear about today or any of our trips, you can give us a call at 1-800-AMTRAK2 or call your local travel agent. Now, if you do have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to type it into your questions box right on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll make sure to leave a little time at the end to get to some of those questions there. But let's get right to it. So why should you travel with Amtrak Vacations? Well, first of all, it's a bucket list experience to travel by train. You're going to see some beautiful sights in parts of the country you would never see by flying or driving. There's room to roam on board. You're not stuck in your seat like you are in a car or on an airplane. You can get up, walk around, stretch your legs, maybe go to the observation car to take in those beautiful views there. It's less hassle when you travel with us because we make sure to take care of everything for you. We're also booking not just your rail, but your hotels, your sightseeing tours and attractions of what you're going to want to do in the different destinations that you're going to. The train has city-to-city service. What I mean by this is the train will pick you up in the heart of one city and bring you right to the next, right to downtown, city center. New York City, for example, it'll take you right into Penn Station. You're just a few blocks from Times Square. There's no easier way to get there. You can satisfy your hunger on board the train. On all the long-distance trains, there's a dining car with a chef that's preparing the meals there. There's also a snack car if anyone wants to grab a quick bite. And with all of our packages, we have lots of flexibility. For most of them, we have daily departures. We can also customize anything to make the perfect vacation package for you. So where do we go with Amtrak Vacations? I always love showing this map because a lot of people don't realize the extent that Amtrak travels to and all the possibilities that you have for your next Amtrak Vacations trip. Now, we do have a few different types of products, so I do just kind of want to go through quickly and mention the different types before we go ahead and show you some examples of them. We have our independent rail journeys. Those are multi-city trips, and of course you take the train to get you from city to city. We have family adventures, great for multi-generational travelers, lots of family-friendly activities. Our rail getaways are single city trips, where we add round-trip rail from your hometown or local Amtrak station. And of course, we have our packages going out to the beautiful national parks. But now I want to introduce our guest, or actually before I introduce our guest speaker, I also want to remind you, while he's going through these packages in just a minute, is how you get to the start. You have a few different options. You can certainly add the train from your hometown to the start of your package, but you also have the option to fly, train city to city, and then fly home. So just something to keep in mind there. But now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Jim Marini.
Okay, thank you so much, Jackie, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located. Thank you all so much for joining Jackie and I as we feature our exciting fall foliage rail vacations. And Jackie, I do have to say, once again, we have over 1,000 people in attendance. So we must be doing something right. We've had a lot of great interest in this particular area, and that is traveling on Amtrak with all your hotels, meals, sightseeing tours taken care of during the fall foliage season. So we got some great packages that I'm going to highlight here. And just to, again, remind everybody to book any of these exciting trips that I highlight here today, or certainly any others, feel free to write down our 1-800 number there in the middle of the screen, or again, as Jackie mentioned, contact your local travel agent who can absolutely help you with any of those arrangements, as well as even helping you book your round-trip air. I did want to mention before I move into one of many different fall foliage packages that I'm going to highlight here today, some fun little additional trivia for everyone. Last year alone, over 31 million people traveled on Amtrak, and they came from all over the world. So with that in mind, everybody, let's move right in to some of our beautiful and many different fall foliage rail vacations, starting out in my home area, which is New England. So if you hear a little bit of an accent as I'm presenting here this morning, I am based out of the Boston area, everyone. This is one of many different foliage rail vacations I'm going to highlight. And of course, what better location to start out with than right here in New England. So if you take a look at the map, everyone, as you can see, just a nice little getaway trip, 3 nights in Boston with the trip north up into Portland, Maine. Now, this trip, as I mentioned, we do spend a few nights in Boston. And for those of you that have ever been to Boston or certainly wanted to go, there's so much to see and do. One of the interesting things about this great city is it really is a first of many great things. So it's the first to have the oldest public park in the United States. That's actually known as Boston Common, dating back to 1634. It's the first to have the first public beach in the United States, Revere Beach. It's the first to have a subway that was built back in the late 1800s, the Tremont Street subway. And believe it or not, everybody, a first to have Dunkin' Donuts, actually right outside the city of Boston in a city known as Quincy, Massachusetts. So lots of history here in this great city. And of course, traveling to New England, my suggestion, as I'm sure Jackie would agree with, is really considering the months of September and October. So really, this is the perfect time, everyone, to plan your next New England fall foliage rail vacation. And space is limited, so definitely, again, give us or contact your local travel agent to help you with those arrangements. Now, as I mentioned, it does also include beautiful Portland, Maine, located right along the seacoast. Again, great seafood. If you like lobster, then you also would enjoy Portland, Maine. This trip itself, everybody, 6 days, 5 nights, daily departures, pretty much from beginning to middle of September all the way until the middle to end of October. So it is a very short season, which is why space does fill up very fast. Now, one thing I do want to mention, not only on this trip, but any of our rail vacations that I highlight here today, any of these trips, everyone, can be customized to be as long or as short as you want, to include as much or as little as you want. Again, it's all flexible depending on how many days you are looking to travel. Now, for those of you who might just want more of the great city of Boston, well, we have a Boston Fall Foliage package. And this really is going to focus more on the heart of Boston. Now, typically, some of our getaway packages can be anywhere from 3, 4, and 5 days long. Again, Boston, there's so much to see and do. Boston, of course, home to the Boston Red Sox, for those of you that are sports fan, is also home to Fenway Park, which is the oldest in the United States, dating back to 1912. One thing I could tell you about being from New England and certainly from the Boston area is we pride longevity, and we don't like to change too much. Building new stadiums for the Red Sox, and we just love our Fenway Park and our Green Monster, if you ever heard of that term, which is it's part of the outfield in the stadium itself. So this trip itself, 4 days, 3 nights, and I did want to mention, not only on this trip, everyone, but every trip that I highlight here today, because they're one of our independent and rail getaway trips, again, we not only have daily departures, but also you get to choose what style hotels you would like to stay at. So if you look here on the screen on the left-hand side, it says 3. Well, here's the nice part, everybody. You get to choose if you want to stay at a hotel such as a Holiday Inn or a remote hotel such as a Hilton, a Westin, a Sheraton. Again, you get to decide the style quality hotel. You'll notice on this trip we also include a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which I'm going to talk a little bit about as I move through my presentation, and a Gray Line Fall Foliage tour. Now, if we continue south, we have another great area of the United States that is known for the beautiful fall foliage, and that is along the eastern seaboard, otherwise in the cities of New York City and Washington, D.C. Now, this happens to travel on the Northeast Regional train. Okay, so keep that in mind. You also have the flexibility, if you choose as well, everyone, to even upgrade to the Acela. Okay, and for those of you that may be familiar with the Acela or not, it is more or less a business-style train. Typically saves you about 30 minutes or so on an average, getting from point A to point B. A little more expensive than the Northeast Regional, but again, you have the flexibility to choose what train you would like to travel on as well. Obviously, it starts out in one of my favorite cities in the world, and that is New York City. Do you know they estimate, everyone, about 5 million people travel on the subway in New York City every single day during the business week, Monday through Friday. It's one of the most multicultural cities in the world as well. And we're going to spend some time there before heading over to our nation's capital, where we'll have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. And I did mention I wanted to talk about this for a minute. My family and I actually just recently traveled to Washington, D.C. during April school vacation. So I have 3 children, and I got to tell you, everyone, we had the best time. And we went round trip right from Boston. It was Boston right down to Washington, D.C., and then back. Now, obviously, this package, it's New York and Boston, New York and Washington, D.C. So, again, keep that in mind. You can mix and match any cities you choose to start and or end. As Jackie mentioned, there's over 500 different Amtrak stations that you can start and or end your journey in the United States. So definitely very flexible. But if we take a look at the hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour here, everyone, when my wife and I and my 3 children were in Washington, D.C., I got to tell you, everyone, it was the best and easiest way to get in and around the city by hop-on, hop-off. So to have that included in the package is such a great highlight, because you don't have to rent a car, which, by the way, we do have car rentals available on any of our packages that you can do before or after your trip or even during. But you don't have to rent a car if you choose not to. Excuse me, and you don't have to pay for a taxi or a cab. It literally drops you in and around the city at all the major points. So again, just a nice way to travel throughout this great city. This trip itself, everyone, 5 days, 4 nights. So again, you can kind of see the trend, you know, sharing some of the 3, 4, 5, 6-day getaways. We do have some longer packages available, which I'll get into in a little bit. But again, you get to choose what style hotels you want to stay at in New York and Washington, D.C. I also want to mention the second point, which says New York City Pass. So let me share a story with everyone. City Pass is basically a ticket booklet, a voucher booklet, so to speak, that gets you into some of the major indoor attractions in a lot of the major cities. So as an example, I was in Chicago recently, and we were visiting the Willis Tower, which was formerly the Sears Tower. And I remember getting there, and the line was so long out the door. And then I looked to the left of the line, and there was only about 6 or 7 people to the left of the long line. And when I looked above the head of the 6 or 7 people, it said City Pass tickets. So to have that included is great, because not only does it save you money to have already discounted passes to get you in and out of these major attractions, but it also saves you a lot of time waiting in those long lines. So keep that in mind, and that applies to a lot of the major cities. So when you see a City Pass included, just know that's a big highlight. If it's not included, just know many times it's available as an optional upgrade. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, as I mentioned, for those of you who might want a nice combination of both of these trips, certainly for those of you that might be located in the Midwest or Canada or on the West Coast or internationally, and you want to spend more time and visit all 4 of these great cities, why not consider our American Heritage, which not only starts in Boston, okay, and by the way, when you're in Boston, everybody, make sure you definitely take advantage of the Boston cream pie. That is the official dessert of Boston, okay. I also talked about lobster. Don't miss out on the delicious lobster rolls. The way to eat them, everyone, lobster's cold. It's in almost like a hot dog bun with a little bit of butter. It is delicious, okay? Why not experience the local cuisine? From there, we move to New York City again, So much to see and do here. You know, they estimate there's over 40,000 restaurants, everyone, in New York City. Over 40,000 restaurants in this great city. From there, then we actually stop in Philadelphia, which is a nice treat. Home of the Liberty Bell, home of Betsy Ross, who designed the American flag. We will spend a couple nights here. As you can see, it does include the city pass before traveling to our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So, again, just a great package. This particular trip itself, everyone, 10 days, 9 nights. Again, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. Now, for those of you who want to spend time in D.C. but would like to even see a little more of the southeast area of the beautiful United States in the fall, don't forget, even in Charleston and Savannah, there's great fall foliage as you travel in the months of September and October. So as you can see here, the Washington Monument, one of the world's tallest structures outside of the Eiffel Tower. Charleston, look at this. We will have a plantation tour included, as well as a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. This trip itself, everybody, 8 days, 7 nights. Again, starting in Washington, D.C., traveling south to Charleston, into beautiful Savannah. Just a great, great package. And again, keep in mind the months that I mentioned, whether it's New England, whether it's New York, Washington, D.C., or even here in Charleston, Savannah, September, October is the time to go. And again, a lot of these destinations do sell out because, again, there's only usually 1 to 2 months where the beautiful fall foliage occurs. Now, if we take something a little bit unique and different and we travel north over the border, how about a nice Niagara Falls ultimate getaway, by the way, with round trip from New York. This can also include round trip as well if you were starting in Niagara Falls and traveling back in the other direction. So this particular case, we do travel on the Maple Leaf train from New York into Niagara Falls and then back. As you can see, we spend 3 nights in Niagara Falls, but it does start in New York City, which, again, just so much to see and do. Otherwise, the Statue of Liberty, again, you'll have a chance to travel there. Ellis Island, New York City, known as the Big Apple. And again, in the months of September, October, even up into beautiful Canada, the foliage is vibrant. So keep that in mind. Now, when we travel to Niagara Falls, everyone, do you know they estimate over 30 million people visit Niagara Falls every year, everyone? Imagine that, over 30 million visitors. Now, Niagara Falls, so much to see and do. It's actually located on the Ontario, Canada, and New York border, made up of 3 falls, the American Falls, the Bridal Veil Falls, and the Horseshoe Falls. Horseshoe is actually the largest of all the falls, and Bridal Veil is actually the smallest. Now, this trip itself, as I mentioned, it is round trip from New York City. We travel on the Maple Leaf, and it's usually a journey during the day, 4 days, 3 nights. So again, if you want to extend your trip and make it 5 days or 6 days if you choose, again, any of these trips can be customized to be as long or as short as you would like. Now, keeping with our Canada theme, some of you might even want to go to beautiful Quebec City, which also includes Montreal. Now, Quebec, such a great area, and of course Montreal. Montreal actually has the second largest French-speaking population in the world, next to Paris. It also has the highest number of restaurants per capita, interestingly enough, second to New York City. But the foliage here, everyone, it's not just New England. I got to tell you, you know, so many of us, myself included, when you think of foliage, you instantly, most people instantly think of New England, right? Because that's what it's known for, and it is absolutely known for foliage. So certainly for any of you looking to travel to New England, give us a call, contact your local travel agent. But if you want foliage and you also want kind of even that European flavor, and you want to travel over the border into another great country, consider Montreal in Quebec and or Niagara Falls, because you will still get the foliage. Now, I will mention to everyone, foliage up in eastern Canada historically does occur a little bit earlier before New England. So as a rule of thumb, mid-September to early October, you're going to catch more of the foliage in eastern Canada, and then late September to mid-October, you'll catch more of the foliage in New England as well as down the eastern seaboard. So definitely keep that in mind. Welcome to Quebec City, everyone. Look at this city. Isn't it spectacular? Here we have the Chateau Frontenac, a 5-star resort. You have Old Town. You have New Town. 95% of the population in Quebec City speaks fluent French. As many of you may be aware, it was some years ago. I'm not sure exactly how many years ago. Quebec actually wanted to be its own private country, its own country within Canada. It was actually a close vote. They lost, but it just goes to show just the charm and the European flavor without having to get on a flight and traveling across the Atlantic into Europe. You can just cross the border into Canada, and you have that flavor as well as the beautiful foliage. Here's our Quebec City getaway with Montreal. Again, 5 days, 4 nights. You get to choose what style hotels you'd like to stay at. And when you call any of our vacation consultants or certainly speak to your local travel agent, everyone, they'll give you a list of all the hotels available in each of these great cities, depending on what package that you're interested in. You'll also see we have a Quebec City guided tour included, as well as dinner at a popular restaurant. And one of the last packages that I'm going to highlight before we talk about the different seating and sleeping accommodations on board Amtrak, how about traveling over to Western Canada and the beautiful Canadian Rockies and still have that beautiful fall foliage included? Because as you can see here, looking at the map, on the right-hand side, this trip starts in Niagara Falls in Toronto. So you can actually begin your journey from New York City if you choose. You could travel from Boston to New York and then up north into Toronto, okay? As you can see, we spend 2 nights here before traveling cross-country on Via Rail, which is the national train of Canada, out to the beautiful Rockies. So to me, you could actually have the best combination of not only 2 great countries, but also 2 great trains and include that beautiful fall foliage as well. Now, Toronto, such a beautiful metropolitan city. Hop-on, hop-off tour is included here. We do take a trip out to Niagara Falls, as I mentioned. So again, we'll have some time there. And then from there, it's traveling on Via Rail out to the beautiful Canadian Rockies, where you'll get a chance to see some of these great areas such as Jasper and one of my favorite places in the world, Banff, where the scenery is just breathtaking, before ending in beautiful Vancouver, home of the recent Winter Olympics. Okay, such a great city. This trip itself, everyone, 14 days, 13 nights, again, starting in Toronto, ending in Vancouver. My suggestion certainly is to take advantage of maybe starting your trip if you choose in New York City, or starting in Boston through New York up to Toronto. Again, you get to be able to join right in. And the nice thing is with Amtrak as well, everyone, Amtrak actually, you can travel over the border in the cities of Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. So you can begin your journey right here in the States and travel into any of those 3 great cities to then continue your rail vacation up throughout Canada. So keep that in mind. By the way, I did want to mention before I move into the seating and sleeping accommodations, some of our other most popular destinations outside and separate from the fall foliage to keep in mind. Certainly, if not for this year, definitely next year. We're already getting a ton of bookings for our national parks packages. So Grand Canyon, Glacier National Park, and then, of course, cities such as San Francisco and Seattle always do very well, and, of course, Chicago. So coach accommodations, everyone. Take a look at this picture. I'm going to leave this up here just for a minute, okay? Now, as you saw on all these packages, many of them, we actually travel on the train during the day, okay? Many of them, not all of them, but many of the trips that I highlighted here that feature the fall foliage, okay? Many of them travel during the day, which means you are in coach accommodations, which would be our main seating. And hopefully some of you have had the pleasure of traveling on Amtrak. But look at the legroom here, everyone. As many of you can agree, certainly for those of you that have flown on many of the major airlines here in the United States, you have to pay, we all have to pay a premium to get this type of legroom on many of the major U.S.-based airlines, right? Whether it's business class, economy plus, economy comfort, this is what the standard coach accommodations look like on board any of the trains throughout the United States, and in particular on the Northeast Regional, which happens to be most of these packages to um, New England and the East Coast, featuring the fall foliage. Now, for any of you that want to travel overnight on the train, whether it's included in the package or you're starting from a destination that's a little farther away that you would travel overnight on the train, then as I'm sure Jackie would agree, we highly encourage you to consider upgrading to either a roomette or a bedroom. So anytime you see any overnight journey that's offered on the train on a package for one of our independent journeys, pricing is always based in coach seating, which is the picture I showed you previously. However, you have the option to upgrade to either a roomette or a bedroom, which would be part of our sleepers. So if you take a look at this picture, everyone, as you can see, it does fit 2 people. Typically, the chairs face each other. A table folds down during the day. You have a nice big picture window. What you can't see is above the window is actually the bunk bed that folds down, okay? So in the evening, the bed folds down. The 2 chairs that are facing each other actually fold down to make a lower bed. You have your own door that locks from the inside. You have your own private attendant. Roomettes for us, everyone, just so you know, are by far our most popular category of any of our sleepers. So if or when you have the opportunity to travel overnight on Amtrak, everyone, which we highly encourage you to experience, because to us it's part of the whole exciting rail vacation, definitely consider to upgrade to a roomette or bedroom, because not only do you get your own private accommodations on board the train, everyone, there's actually a private attendant that's designated to each of the sleeping cars, okay? In each sleeping car, there may be anywhere from 8 to 10 roomettes and anywhere from 4 to 6 bedrooms per sleeping car, okay? Now, one thing I do want to mention with roomettes, we have what we call private yet shared bathrooms. So what does that mean, everyone? What that means is you do not have a bathroom and a shower inside of your room. However, you do have, they typically have 2 to 3 bathrooms and 2 to 3 showers per sleeping car on board the train, which is only accessible to other people that are in roomettes or bedrooms in that same sleeping car, okay? So keep that in mind. Again, our most popular category of any of our sleepers. And I do have to say, everyone, many times, and I spend time with our vacation consultants in our offices all over the world, many times to upgrade from a coach seat, okay, which was the picture I showed you previously, to a roomette, which again not only gives you private accommodations, but it also gives you all your meals included on the overnight journey. Many times it's only $100 to $200 extra per person. It's a great value. Now, if you do absolutely want your own bathroom and shower inside of your room, then of course you'd want to consider upgrading one more step to a bedroom. Now, bedrooms can fit typically 2 adults and 1 child. They are a little bigger than roomettes. They are even more limited. So whether it's roomettes or bedrooms, space does sell out very fast, especially to any of our packages that are going to be traveling to some of these beautiful fall foliage destinations, because again, many of these trips, most of them, only operate in September and October, especially if you want to catch that beautiful fall foliage. Whatever you decide, though, whatever style accommodations, rest assured you'll have some relaxing, enjoyable evenings on board the train. Now, observation car, any of the overnight trains that travel throughout the country, the observation car, regardless if you're in coach seating, a roomette, or a bedroom, is open access to everyone. Everyone and anyone can spend time in the observation car. It's at no additional charge, where, of course, you have the beautiful glass dome windows all around you to enjoy the scenery. By the way, did I mention cuisine? Again, whenever you upgrade to a roomette or a bedroom, everyone, all your meals are included on that particular overnight portion of your trip. So if you were to start in Chicago and travel overnight to New York, you would get whatever meals are offered during that train journey from Chicago to New York. You would get all of those included at no additional charge if you are in a roomette or a bedroom. If you're in coach seating, it's still available. Obviously, it's at an additional cost. Here's what I will share with everyone. The cuisine on board is tremendous. Amtrak does a spectacular job. By the way, also, there are private chefs on board, any of the overnight journeys. So food is fresh, made to order. So I was on a trip recently traveling overnight. Breakfast consists of eggs, pancakes, waffles, croissants, coffee, tea, scones. Lunch, we had a choice of cheeseburgers, chicken paninis, turkey clubs, salad, soup. In the evening, it was salmon, steak, pasta, lots of great choices. There's waiters and waitresses on board. I mean, it really is a wonderful part of the overall experience. So with that in mind, everybody, I hope you enjoyed a nice overview on the great fall foliage vacations as well as an overview on Amtrak. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jackie so she can tell you more about how you can find these destinations or any others, as well as how you and your friends and family will want to book some of these great trips. Back to you, Jackie.
Thank you so much for that, Jim, for all that great information on some of our most popular fall foliage rail trips. So everyone, keep in mind that was just a small sample of some of the packages and destinations that we do have. We have over 60 destinations through the U.S. and Canada. You can view them all at amtrakvacations.com, where you can also check out all of our other packages that we have. Now, how do you book one of our rail vacations? Well, there are a few different ways. You can certainly give us a call and call one of our vacation specialists at 1-800-AMTRAK2. You can book online at amtrakvacations.com, or you can reach out to your local travel agent. Now, we do have some great everyday discounts on the Amtrak rail portion of your trip. There's one for anyone a part of Veterans Advantage. There's a great senior discount. Seniors on Amtrak are age 62 or older. There's a AAA discount. Children on Amtrak are ages 2 to 12, and they receive 50% off the adult rail fare. And there's also a discount for active military and their families. But the discount that I'm really excited to let you all know about today is an exclusive one just for all of you for taking the time to attend today. And if you book any of our rail vacation packages that you see online, we will give you $50 off per couple or $25 per person. But don't wait to book, because that offer is only good until August 17th. So you have 2 weeks to book to save $50 per couple. And that promo code is WebinarFall. And again, this is an exclusive discount just for all of you for taking the time and joining us today. Now, I know it was a lot of information that you've gotten today with the different packages, the discount that I mentioned, so there is a great handout. If you want to click on it right on the right-hand side of your screen there and download that, that'll have all the packages we talked about today and all the information there. If you do have any questions at all, please feel free to type them into your questions box, and I'll make sure to get to some of those questions. But before I go ahead and do that, I do want to announce our lucky $100 Amtrak Vacations gift certificate winner, and that winner is Valerie Williams. So congratulations, Valerie. You now have $100 to put towards your next Amtrak Vacations trip. So let's go ahead and get to some of those great questions. So we have a question from Mike. What is the maximum number of people we can book before it's considered a group? So definitely, if you have a lot of people, you're looking to do a group, there's really no maximum number that we have or minimum number there. So give us a call. Let us know how many people are looking to travel. We can go ahead and we can put a quote and give you an accurate pricing based on the amount of people, where you're looking to travel to, and what they're looking to do on their next vacation. So we have a question from Phyllis. If I've already booked a trip, can I still take advantage of the $50 off for my husband and me? Well, with that $50 discount, we can't apply it to reservations already made, but we can certainly apply it to any future trip that you're looking to travel to. Maybe it's even just a short getaway. You want to do New York City, see some of the beautiful fall foliage there. We can certainly add that discount. We have a question from Kim. Is there a copy of the rail map online? There certainly is. If you go to amtrakvacations.com, click on our destinations tab there, you will see the Amtrak Vacations route map and all the destinations that we have. That map is also in our brochure, which you can order online. You can view it online, or you can have it delivered to your home. We have a question from Elizabeth. See, do you have group discounts? So right now, the best discount that we have is that exclusive attendee discount of the $50 off per couple or $25 per person, which we can certainly apply if you have a group that's looking to travel. We have a question from Yolanda. Do you offer a coast-to-coast trip leaving from Texas? We certainly do. So we can also customize any of our rail packages that we have. So if you're leaving from Texas, you can certainly do that southern route, doing the Sunset Limited, maybe over to LA, take the Coast Starlight up to Seattle, the Empire Builder across northern the US there to Chicago, and then take the Texas Eagle back down to Texas. So that's just one option of a great round trip. You will also see on AmtrakVacations.com, we have all of our rail experience packages. Those are our cross-country packages. Now, you will see most of them departing from Chicago or San Francisco as the starting point. But again, keep in mind, we can customize any trip, and we can make those adjustments and instead have you leaving right out of Texas, whether it's Dallas, San Antonio, or whichever station is closest to you. We have a question from Kara. Does the $50 off include 2017 travel? Yes, it certainly does. We do have some great packages and independent rail journeys already available for 2017. So you can certainly take advantage of that $50 discount and book travel for next year too. But again, don't wait to book because that offer is only good for the next 2 weeks. So we have a question from Susie. What are the procedures and limitations on luggage for overnight travel? Does the passenger handle the transfer of luggage? So that is a great question, Susie. So for baggage, you're allowed 2 carry-on bags, and you can also check 2 bags. All the major train stations that are staffed, they do allow checked baggage. If you are checking your bag, and let's say you have a layover in Chicago, you're coming from New York, you have a layover in Chicago, and you're ending in Los Angeles. You check your bags in New York City, you won't have to worry about transferring them to the new train in Chicago. That will all be done for you, and you can pick up your bags in Los Angeles. So we have a question from David. How can I see the timeline of the trip itinerary, arrivals and departures? So if you're looking for the specific times there, definitely give us a call, talk with one of our vacation specialists, or reach out to your local travel agent, and they can go ahead and put the specific times for you. Some of the trains, they do have multiple trips, so you can depart in the morning, late afternoon, evening, anything like that. So lots of options for some of those trips. So you do have, your pick of when you would like to depart to in some cases there. We have a question from Caitlin. Do I have to pay for this trip in full now? So that is a great question, and it depends on when you're traveling. So if you're traveling outside of 60 days, you can actually just put a small deposit, and this way we can guarantee your hotel space, and we can lock in those low prices, especially for anyone looking to travel in 2017. Right now, if you book, you are going to get the lowest prices available. So definitely don't wait to book your next rail vacation. You can just put a small deposit, lock in that price, that space there, and the full payment is not due until 60 days before your trip. So in that case, you also have the option if you want to make payments until that 60 days, no problem. So we have a question from B. Theodesis. Is there more of an advantage to book early to get the best deal? What are the best times to get the best deals? Right now is the best time to book. You're going to get the best deals. Again, all the pricing for the train, it's all based upon availability. So if you're waiting to book, a week before, 2 weeks before, you are going to pay a lot more for that, especially for some of those sleepers. If you're looking into a cross-country trip, you want to do the roomettes or bedrooms, definitely book now to get the lowest price. And you can take advantage of our webinar discount that we have today. We have a question from Alicia. What should you pack for overnight? What if you need something from checked baggage when traveling? Is it available or no? So if you do check a bag, it is not available while you are traveling. So you definitely want to make sure if you're doing an overnight on Amtrak that you pack a bag for anything that you're going to need while you're on board. Because again, you will not be able to get to your checked bag. So if there's any medications that you need, certainly clothes, toiletries, anything like that, if you want to bring some snacks on board too, you are allowed to carry on. So I would definitely bring a separate bag. I always recommend too, if you're doing the roomettes or bedrooms, maybe bring in a smaller suitcase or even just a backpack for just the things that you need on the train. This way you have more space, in your room there. We have a question from Mary. Do you have any hop-on, hop-off across the country trips, or do you have to have a specific date for each stop? So that's a great question, and really you're going to need to have a specific date for the stops, and the reason why is those trains that are running cross-country, the long-distance trains, most of them only run once a day. So if you are jumping off the train, there's not going to be another train coming to pick you up that evening. So you will need to have a hotel for the night. So you will see in all of our packages that we have, that's exactly what we do. We plan it out so you're getting off the train, spending a few nights in a hotel, sightseeing and exploring the different cities. So for example, if you're leaving Chicago, you want to do the Empire Builder, which does northern U.S. to the west. Our packages leaving in Chicago, you can hop off in Glacier National Park. We'll have you doing 2-3 nights at the Glacier Park Lodge, some sightseeing tours of the park before jumping on the train, taking it over to Seattle, spending a few nights there. So that's exactly how we put together our packages there. So it looks like that's all we have for questions today. But if anyone else does have any questions, needs anything, please feel free to reach out to us. Give us a call at 1-800-AMTRAK2 or reach out to your local travel agent. And don't forget about that exclusive attendee discount. Again, do not wait to book. That promo code is only good for the next 2 weeks. But keep in mind, with the fall foliage, it's just a short season that you can see those beautiful sights there. So space does sell out very quickly. And it actually looks like there's a couple more questions that are popping in, so I'll just get to those while we still have a little bit of time. We have a question from Yolanda. What is the largest bedroom of offer available? So for that, on the train, it is the bedroom accommodations is the larger one. So that's the one that has the private bathroom and shower right in that room. There's also the roomette accommodation, which is actually our most popular category that we have. It's the 2 seats during the day, bunk beds at night, and right at the end of the train car is that private but shared bathroom and shower. We have a question from Linda. Are transfers available to hotels? So we do not include the transfers from the train stations to the hotels in most of our packages. And the reason why is, again, the trains, they all go right to downtown city center locations. And that's exactly where our hotels are. They're all right in the heart of the city. So in most cases, it's just a mile, couple miles from the train station over to your hotel. So the best thing to do is once you get out of the station, there'll be all the taxis right there ready to pick up passengers. Just jump in one of those. It's going to be a very quick and inexpensive taxi ride taking you over to your hotel. Because keep in mind, it's not like the airports where you're on the outskirts of the city. So we use New York City, for example. You're flying into LaGuardia, JFK. If you're trying to get in during rush hour, it can take you an hour or more to get there. When you're taking the train, you are right in Manhattan, just a few blocks from Times Square. A question from Linda. Can a roomette hold 2 adults and 1 child? So for the roomette, it really is just for 2 adults. Occasionally in the bedroom accommodations, they will allow 2 adults and 1 small child. And that's really if you have a child that's maybe 3 to 5 years old, they're small, they can share that bottom bunk with one of the adults. And we have a question from, let's see, there's one more question from Kara. Is there a limit to how many times you can book the webinar fall promotion? There's no limit for any of the reservations you want to make. If you want to do a fall foliage trip, maybe do Montreal and Quebec City, and then in the winter do a holiday getaway to New York City, and you want to book them both now, I will offer you that $50 per couple discount on both of your trips that you are booking. No problem. So I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And again, if you need anything at all, please feel free to give us a call or reach out to your local travel agent. Take care.